In this video, we'll review products, services, and kits in Service CEO. We start on the Settings tab, and we'll click into the product, service, and kit list here to get into the settings for these three. From here, you can hop into your product list, your service list, or your kit list. In each of these, which we'll overview in just a second, you can see any products, services, and kits that have already been set up, make changes to them, delete them, deactivate them, or set up new products, services, and kits. Top link here, charge categories, allows you to set up categories for grouping your pricing options into a smaller list. Here we happen to have 6 categories: cleaning, computer, emergency, handyman services, imported items, and installation services. We must have pricing options in each of these charge categories. You'll see how this comes into play a little bit later when we're looking at the list, but keep in mind you can have as many charge categories as you'd like. You're free to add charge categories, edit some of these particular ones, or even delete a charge category if you don't have any use for it. Please note that free trials of Service CEO will come pre-canned with 5 charge categories. It's up to your discretion which you keep and which you remove. There's also a charge units list on here. This will make more sense when we're looking at an actual product, but essentially a charge unit is the unit for which you're charging the client. So, for example, an hour for an hourly labor rate, or a square foot for perhaps a carpet cleaning company. Again, that will make more sense. But let's hop into the product list here. The first thing to keep in mind here is, again, the categories. Note that we're looking at a list of all categories right now, but if I wanted to only see my cleaning services, I simply toggle the drop down, and this gives me a much smaller subset of products to look at. There are 3 tabs: products, services, and kits. We'll explain what a kit is in just a minute as well. In your product list here, we've got some options. To make changes to a particular item, you come in here and simply click the edit button. This will open the product in edit mode and allow me to make changes to things like the part number, the name, the description, the unit cost, which is how much I buy this particular carpet shampoo for, and the unit sell price, which is how much I actually sell it for. Here on the unit is where the charge unit comes into play. If, for example, this was a charge by the gallon, I can set it as gallon. Here we also manage which tax rates can apply to this particular product. And off on the right where it says time added to work order, this is used in automatic duration calculation in Service CEO. The time added to work order essentially allows you to say this particular service, the usage of 1 gallon of this carpet shampoo is always going to add at least 1 hour to any job, because this particular shampoo takes us a while to do. You can use this, and when you're in a work order, you can toggle the duration calculation from manual to automatic, and it will automatically calculate the length of the job based on the particular charges you have on it. Finally, if you are using business units, by checking this box here, you make it so that business units below yours have the ability to edit their own prices. By unchecking it, they have to keep the pricing that you have set up for this particular product. When you make changes to a product, you'll see a pop-up like this asking if you would like to make these changes to old jobs, work orders, and estimates. Let's say no in this example, because this is now a new change moving forward. Come back to our product list in here. Note that there is a search bar in here, so I can always come in and search for a particular item. I can also search by a part number on here as well. Let's set up a new service in Service CEO. We'll come to the Services tab. Note that the Services tab has more or less the same format of products, with the exception that here in the middle there is no part number. If you recall, here on the Products tab, we have a part number here. We have the unit cost versus the sell price to track your cost versus what you sell it for. On the services list, however, it's different. We have a service mode here. This allows you to differentiate between an hourly rate or a service that is typically a flat rate. So if your appliance repair is always $125 per appliance here, you can say that. Or if, for example, this carpet cleaning Trevino service here is $30 per room, we now have this set up, say it's $30 per room. So on an invoice we can say 6 rooms, and the system will say 6 rooms totals $180. We'll hit add service here. First, we must choose a category. Let's go with handyman on this. Note that if you are using business units in Service CEO, you can set products, services, and kits up at the top level here, which would be able to be used in all 4 lower business units, or you can set it specific to a particular business unit. Again, this is the handyman services. We're going to go ahead and set up overtime labor rate. We'll say that our labor rate will be $120 here, but only for the labor that's outside of 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. This is an hourly rate. However, in Massachusetts, where Service CEO is located, services are not taxed, whereas products and materials are. So we're going to turn this off so the labor rate is not taxed on here. Go ahead and hit save. This has now been added to the price book in your handyman services category. We can now go back to the services list here, switch to our handyman services category, and see that the overtime labor service rate has now been set up for an hourly rate of $120. Next, we'll discuss kits. Kit is a combination of products and services. There are a couple of uses for kits. The first and probably most common is to simply group products and services on jobs that you do frequently together, so that rather than having to go in and add each product and each service to each job, we can set up a kit and simply add the kit to the job, which will already contain the pricing options there. In this example, we've got a standard boiler installation kit set up. You can see here that this kit contains 1 boiler here for $1,500 and the 4 hours of labor that it's going to take to install the boiler for a total of $300. Let's set up a new kit in here. For example, let's set up an overtime boiler installation. And we'll call this installation services as the category. We'll call it kit number 2. And we're going to give this a name of overtime boiler installation. First, we're going to go ahead and add the products. Again, I simply want to find my boiler here, drop this on for $1,500. But this time, I'm going to use the overtime labor rate that we just set up for $120. I'm going to first add that rate, and here I'm going to change the quantity of this kit to say that this contains 4 hours of labor by default. I'll go ahead and save this. Now this kit is a total of $1,980, whereas the previous kit was $1,800. Let's go into an estimate very quickly and add in the kit. We'll hit add new estimate and just use a fake customer to very briefly get through to the physical estimate itself. We'll go ahead and say it's a boiler installation. Just hit next so we get to the physical estimate itself. Here is where our options lie for which charge to apply. Again, in this scenario with a kit, I don't have to come in and hit add product and choose the boiler and then hit add service and choose my labor hours. I can simply add the kit here, choose which kit, and this time let's go with the standard boiler installation, and I can hit save. There are different ways to display how the kit prints out. Let's show the first option right now. This is the first option for printing a kit, where it simply prints 1 line and 1 price for that particular kit. Let's toggle that very quickly so you can see the other 2. I'm going to come into my settings tab, come to the reporting options section. Click the top level of this particular business unit here. Hit edit, and when I scroll down, note that you can set it differently for the invoice than from the estimate. We have 3 options in our kits viewing here. First is show single line for a kit. That's what we just saw, just one line item. The second, we'll go to the bottom, include kit contents and charges. I'm just going to save this very briefly, come back to the estimate and click print so we can see this particular format. With this option, Service CEO is going to show the top name of the actual kit here, but it's going to itemize the price for the contents of that particular kit. The other option here is to display line by line items, but only show one total price and not have the charges for each content. We'll switch that one to say include kit contents here. Come back to our estimate. We'll go ahead and hit print on here. Now you'll see the kit itself has a price of $1,800, but the items that make up the kit do not have individual prices on them. Again, this can be set on an invoice, just like we set it down here for an estimate. This will be covered later in another training video on importing products, services, and kits, but note that products, services, and kits can be imported through a QuickBooks file. If yours are in a QuickBooks file during your implementation, you're free to import it. However, if you don't use QuickBooks, your Customer Success Manager will be more than happy to import your products, services, and kits for you into Service CEO.